Which bands do you personally listen to? Or which bands, like you said, Roses, were a great influence for your music?
Yeah, both musically and also the way they've done things. I mean, being so uncompromising and staying true to a DIY ethic over the years. And I think most importantly, adding this mythic dimension to music. I think that what we're trying to do is operate on the level of myth and the level of metaphysics. Um, Rather than talking about politics or talking about do this or do that. We're trying to do something that draws more on archetypes and something that's not so specific. It's more of an energetic sort of thing. And the bands that I'm most interested in are bands that do that. I think that in the black metal sphere, Burzum is my hugest inspiration. Not because of Varg, the person behind it, but because of the energy that music.
Understand.
I'm not interested in the personality behind that created the music, or the politics. No, I'm interested in the energy of it. I believe that great musicians who create great art are conduits for some sort of otherworldly energy, and aren't necessarily responsible for the greatness or the lack of greatness in their art.
How do you explain yourself that you are pretty popular in the mainstream press? How do you arrange this with your music or with your lifestyle, with the view of black metal?
Yeah, it is an interesting thing that we've received so much press, not just from the underground scene, but like Der Spiegel or the New York Times, the United States. The only thing I can say is that we really are trying to do something new, and trying to do something that's a reflection of our own very specific ideas and ideologies and spiritual viewpoints. And I think that when you listen to our music, it does sound different than a lot of the other, quote, black metal bands that are playing nowadays. Not only just the sound, but just the feeling behind the music. It's clear that we're coming from a very different place than, say, Decibel Omega or, some other really great European black metal bands. And so I think the only thing I can say is that people hear the music and then want to know more about it because it sounds different. It sounds fresh, maybe. And people want to dig a bit deeper and find out what the intent is behind the music. That's the only thing that I can say. Honestly, I don't pay much attention to it. I'm not interested in being a professional musician. I'm not interested in success. I don't care one way or the other. Okay. I'm happy to go on tour. I'm happy to play music, and I'm happy to interact with people. Situations like this it's gratifying to me. But if it were to disappear tomorrow, I'd be just as happy. I'd be just as happy at home, tending to things at the farm.
All right. What non-metal bands do you like? Could you tell me some?
Oh yeah, I don't listen to much metal nowadays. When I was younger, I was pretty extreme metalhead, mostly death metal. Deicide and Morbid Angel and Slayer and Metallica, all these sorts of bands. And black metal as well. I've always been very interested in black metal since the mid '90s. But nowadays, I don't listen to much metal music. I'm mostly interested in all manner of primitive and folk music. There's a label in Seattle called Sublime Frequencies. Are you familiar with this label? Yeah, and that's the kind of music that I'm very. Yeah, it's just documenting, music that's happening, outside of the rock and roll world. I'm interested in music that's very authentic. That's not made with all these preconceived ideas about rock music and the rock and roll business. I'm more interested in music that comes from a very authentic kind of place, and oftentimes that music comes from parts of the world other than Western Europe or the United States. More as far as like rock music, I'm mostly interested in dark ambient music and psychedelic drone music and this sort of thing. The favorite musician right now is the CD we always play before our set, by someone named Sacrificial Totem, who's a good friend of mine. He's actually in jail right now for some Earth First related activities. But it's worth looking into. It comes from the same scene that we do. It's this underground, eco black metal sort of scene. It's really worth checking out.
All right. Who has got the idea to make a tour through Europe? Was it the band or was it Southern Lord Records or?
How'd this tour come about? When we were on tour in the United States with Yesu, which is Justin Broderick from Godflesh's current project, we made friends with his with the person that was taking him around, his tour manager, and he liked our band. We became friends, and he said, "Come to Europe. I'll set up a tour for you." And it's like that. That's how things usually seem to work. Yeah, you know, you meet people and you make connections with people. You know, it's not a matter of these big institutions or you know, the sort of business, rock business sort of thing. It's about connections between people and being a part of a network and being part of a community. Yeah, you know, it's very, very easy for us.
Because it's very expensive to fly over and make a whole tour with that kind of music. There's always the risk that you're playing in halls of filled only with 25 people or something, and this is like a phenomena that you got that much of a fan base. There are alternative fans, black metal fans. From every scene, there's a person that says in this music there is something special. So
yeah, that's what everyone seems to say to us, is that you guys have it really, really easy. Like most bands have to, you know, tour for years and years and years before they can get to the point where they can, you know, even break even on a tour to Europe. But for whatever reason, things have really fallen into place for us. And I'm not gonna try to question why. You know, it's hard for me to have enough distance from the music to be able to comment on it. Yeah, just how it is. I'm curious in what other people's opinions are about, you know, why our band is where it's at or why people are interested in it.
good. Thank you.
Good. Interesting.